I'm Amy Lawrence, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in socially distanced dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Is that Shakespeare?
Nope, it's Geico.
Yeah, that's Shakespeare from one of his unpublished works. Oh, it be not for awakening. Nay, giveth thou the berries. For 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
No, it's from Geico, because they help save people money.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but Geico got it from Shakespeare.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Whatever We Have in Stock Are Us, your one-stop place to shop for whatever we happen to have lying around at the time.
You're riding Morning Shotgun with the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here weekdays on WAOC 96.5 FM, 1420 AM, and streaming on the Armchair Quarterbacks app. Download it today. Your first choice for sports talk here on the First Coast.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
For the first time in 39 years, the Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup. Out of the zone, the Colorado Avalanche have won the Stanley Cup. Raymond Moore, a dream, has control. They score with 28.8 seconds left. The Leafs have tied the game. McCarty draws. McCarty in. McCarty scores! A magnificent goal! Darren McCarty!
Armchair Quarterbacks Radio, covering the NHL like no other.
What's going on here, guys? All right, coach. So basically, it was a holding call. But these dudes started me in their fantasy league, which is cool because this dude started our quarterback, but he started our kicker and I started their defense. So it's kind of a pickle.
Compromising the integrity of this game with your fantasy football leagues? Listen to me. If there was holding, you make that holding call. I don't care if it was on our team or not. I care about this game too much to let you.
Coach, you started their defense too, didn't you? Yeah, you definitely started their defense.
Damn right I did.
Armchair.
If only the world was less like this.
I could use a smoke.
Hey, put that out.
And more like this.
I could use a smoke.
You murderer! I might have children one day.
Smoking kills unless you kill first. If you're around a smoker, you will die. Smokers may look relaxed and like they're having fun. Don't believe it. Vote yes on Proposition 421. Let's outlaw smoking everywhere, even in people's homes, and allow honest citizens to legally kill anyone who smokes. Let's live in a world without smokers. Prohibition works. Let's prove it. Vote yes on Proposition 421.
Armchair.
Let's face it, where you're betting is just as important as who you're betting on. That's why I go to mybookie.ag. It's fast, it's easy, and they pay you when you win. Look, I wouldn't be telling you to bet mybookie.ag if they weren't the best. Do the smart thing. If you're going to bet this football season, bet with mybookie.ag. Promo code SKIN. That's SKIN. When you use that promo code, MyBookie will match 100% of your deposit up to $1,000. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SKIN.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way. I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Welcome to the jungle. Jim Rome on the air, noon to 3 Eastern, only on CBS Sports Radio. Follow us anytime on Twitter. Our handle is @CBS Sports Radio.
This year, choose a yogurt that's right for you. With 2 grams of sugar per 5.3-ounce serving, Too Good Greek yogurt is too good to be true. So Delicious dairy-free yogurt and Silk yogurt alternatives are delicious plant-based swaps you can enjoy by the spoon or add to recipes. Oikos 000 yogurt and Light and Fit yogurt are tasty, non-fat yogurt options. So many flavors, varieties, and possibilities. Elevate any recipe and your everyday with yogurt. Shop at Target.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
It's morning.
Yes, and what a lovely morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
When Bruce became Caitlyn, that was like a national news story. Dude, you shave your beard off. People were like, oh my God, that's your chin? Wow. This guy walked out a dude, came back a woman. You're just supposed to be like, oh yes, anyways, Caitlyn, that's all I was saying. I miss that guy. I miss him already. He should have told us. He should have given us a chance to say goodbye. I watched him on the Olympics. I watched him on Chips. I watched him on that horrible show my wife watched where he just walks around in the background.
Armchair.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. The National Football League is offering 50 free Super Bowl tickets to Super Bowl 56 to fans who have been vaccinated for COVID-19 as a part of a global event to encourage getting vaccinations. Working with the White House COVID response team and global citizens, the Super Bowl promotion asks fans to share why they got vaccinated or will soon do so. Details on how to win a pair of Super Bowl tickets will be announced Saturday night during Global Citizens Vax Live, the concert to reunite the world program. The show takes place at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, California, where Super Bowl 56 will be held in February of 2022. A side note, more than 3 million vaccinations have been administered at 21 NFL stadiums and facilities since this year, January. In February, 7,500 vaccinated healthcare workers were invited to attend the Super Bowl in Tampa, Florida as a guest of the league and Governor Ron DeSantis. The Vax Live will feature musical performances by J-Lo, Eddie Vedder, the Foo Fighters, J Balvin, and H.E.R. I have no idea what that is. I thought they were called Them, or They. The Jacksonville Jaguars have fired 4 longtime employees with the scouting and personnel department, including one who has been with the franchise since its inception, a league has informed ESPN and other outlets. Andy Dengler, Assistant Director of Player Personnel, Chris Driggers, Director of Pro Personnel, Mark Ellens, the Director of College Scouting, and Paul Roel, Assistant Director of College Scouting, were fired on Monday. The group has a combined 66 years of experience with the Jaguars, and Driggers was one of the 6 remaining staff members who joined the franchise in 1994. Additionally, Urban Meyer made it a point to say the franchise's responsibility is to give the players the best of everything, which is why he is pushing for a standalone football facility that Shad Khan has been talking about since 2016. And what's funny in the news, all-time great Tom Brady's credentials are pretty much untouchable. He has 6 rings with the Pats and 1 with the Bucks. He also has 14 Super Bowl records, including passing yards in a single Super Bowl, and has thrown a record 21 touchdown passes in the Super Bowl. Brady is known as the GOAT, was quoted as saying, "I would, let's be real," when asked by Draftathon if he had his way and able to do it, would he trade 2 of his Patriots championships for the undefeated season and be 19-0 back in Super Bowl 42 against the New York Giants. Eli Manning chimed in, tweeting the response, saying, "Never." Eli Manning was the quarterback of that famed championship team. He also beat Tom Brady a few years later in a second Super Bowl. And in Major League Baseball, John Means was almost perfect for the Baltimore Orioles on Wednesday, but will happily settle for a no-hitter in one of the greatest pitching performances in Orioles history. Means retired all 27 batters that he faced in a 6-0 victory over the Mariners, but did allow a base runner on a 3rd strike wild pitch in the 3rd inning. The Orioles then caught Haggerty attempting to steal second base, but the wild pitch nullifies the perfect game bid. Means becomes the first Oriole for an individual no-hitter since Jim Palmer way back in 1969, the longest stretch for any team in the majors without an individual no-hitter. That leaves the streak alive for the last perfect game with Seattle's Felix Hernandez in 2012. Matt Cain and Philip Hulber also threw perfect games that very season. There are only 21 in the history of Major League Baseball. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for more of the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast. Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, the Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern sports talk. Good morning. I'm Mac McGee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. I told y'all John Means might have himself a day yesterday. I told you John Means going up against that Seattle offense might be the play to play. Wow, if you picked him in fantasy, holy crap. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
From the moment you walk up to the store, you think there's something different. You step inside and realize it's the exact same store in the poor part of town with a different sign. Same savings, same disgusting customers, same annoying kids left parentless inside. As you look around, you'll see the same general layout with dull yellow walls and the same assortment of products since 2002. Get some toothpaste, shave your back, and wash your feet. We have shampoo that probably won't give you a rash. And speaking of necessities, Family Dollar has an even larger selection of foods to help contribute to America's obesity crisis. You'll find that freezers have been added with more carcinogen-packed frozen foods to keep your family in the doctor's office. I can almost taste that Family Dollar steak. All of the popular brands are here, so bring your EBT card. We are ready to take advantage of your situation. Drive to any poor neighborhood near you. You'll find us peddling the same cheap products while children run screaming through our store. Visit Family Dollar, because you can't afford anything else.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Hey, howdy, hi. Top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. I'm Mac McGee. Joey is incapacitated right now. He got pulled into an emergency meeting. Doesn't look like he's going to make the show, but if he does, obviously we'll let him right in. And for everyone else that is watching, if you want to call in, if you want to join the numbers above. But the first thing that I'm going to hit the ground running with was the John Means no. He had the no-hitter yesterday, and already, it was funny, as soon as it happened, I tweeted out something to the effect of watch for everyone trying to get his no turned into a perfect game, just like they tried to get Mad Bum's no turned into a no-hitter legitimately in the books. The simple fact of the matter is it was not a perfect game. And I get it. It sucks for Means, for people that missed what happened in the game and what made it not a perfect game. He did face 27 batters, and all 27 batters went down for the count. Every single one. By the way, I have to be laughing over here because Michael says I'm getting the J&J shot on Saturday, and Brian chimes in with that one's useless. That just made me laugh. I'm like, dude, he's getting a vaccine. Get off him. You can't. None of us know which of these vaccines are the best. I completed mine. I got the Pfizer. My second shot was Tuesday. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I have not had any real side effects. I made a joke in the chat on our YouTube live, but honestly, I have not had any real side effects. I guess I've just been lucky. Most people have gotten really ill. Most people have at least had some kind of symptoms. The only thing that I had was the first one. I had a sore arm, but I can't say that that's a real actual side effect. It wasn't as sore as people make it out to be. They make it out like it's just this excruciating, oh, I can't live, my arm is so sore. And for everyone that I've talked to on Twitter and whatnot about this, I'm just going to have to call you out. You're a wimp. You're a wimp. If that is what you call sore, you are a wimp. I have had a hell of a lot more soreness coming from, when you go to the gym and you work out something you don't normally work out. I've been a lot sore for a lot longer. I've been sore from, broken bottles over my head, all kinds of junk that I went through in my youth when I was, doing bouncing and whatnot. So I guess I just don't feel that is an actual soreness. But it was a little sore. The second one, I wasn't sore at all. In fact, we've actually been joking, starting to think that I got the placebo, and I just got sugar water because for me to not have any, I felt like I was a little dehydrated the day that I took it, but is that really a side effect? And honestly, I drank a lot of damn coffee earlier in that morning, so I don't know if that was it or if that was just me taking the chugging caffeine left and right. The one thing I will say, for full disclosure, I talked to a nurse and her entire family. Now realize they're all gonna have the same DNA, so take this with a grain of salt. I'm not giving advice whatsoever, but she told me that she took Benadryl when she took the shot. Took one thing of Benadryl before, and then took it throughout the day as you're supposed to. So I said, okay, what the hell? I'll do that for the second one. I didn't need it for the first one, but I said, I always heard you're going to get the side effects on the second one. I took it. I didn't have any realistic, what I would call true side effects. Once again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you what I did. I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying that's what I did. It worked for me. My wife's going to try the same thing because she felt a little under the weather the first time. She said that basically she just felt drained and tired. And I guess I'm just so used to feeling drained and tired, I don't really think about it. But anyways, all joking aside, she gets hers today. I got mine on Tuesday. And good luck to everyone who's going out there and doing it. I know there's a lot of people who won't do it. I get it. I'm not even going to try to talk you into it because hey, just like you've been told by everything else, it's your body, your choice, right? So I'm not going to sit here and tell you have to get it. That's not what anything, to me, medicine, that's not what medicine is about. You have the right to choose not to get it. And if you don't care about the side effects of not taking it, then by all means, because it's a double-edged sword. But I figured, what the hell, and I went ahead and took it. So there you have that. We'll put a button on that. Back to the John Means thing. 27 outs, but in the third inning, he threw a slider that went in the dirt for a third strike. The ball got away from the catcher. The player got to first base. Okay, the batter got to first base. Technically a strikeout, but it's an old rule in baseball that's been around forever. You can advance if there's no one on first. You can advance to first base. And then with 2 outs, you can advance as well too, right? Because they wanted to, for a while there, they were allowing you to, I want to say it was early 1900s, late 1800s. You could advance even if there's a guy on first, but what catchers were getting good at, and nowadays it seems like, well, that's really stupid. That's really easy to pull that off. Why wouldn't you always do that? The equipment back then is not what it is today. Okay. So think about that. But what the catchers were doing is that some of the ones that were more skillful, they were purposely dropping third strikes, gunning the ball down to second base, and then gunning the other force out down to first. And so that's why they changed the rules to that. But anyways, Means lets the guy on. They actually pick him off, and the only base runner he allows gets out right then and there. So with that being said, he faced 27 batters, 27 outs. But because someone reached base, just like you would not get it if there was an error, it's not considered a perfect game. It's not your mistake, but if it's a team mistake, if there's an error, if the third baseman bobbled the ball and threw it into the dugout, that's not going to be a perfect game. That's why there's only been 21 of these, by the way. Immediately, I started seeing sports writers all around the country tweeting out about needing to change the rule. No, that's all I'm going to. No, you do not change the damn rule. You do not change it. There's a reason why it's called a perfect game. If something is perfect, you don't make it a little less perfect just to get your participation trophy, which is essentially where we're at nowadays. And Brian says, my wife is a respiratory therapist. She's my research. Well, the CDC is my research, and I'm going to say that if they allowed all 3 of those vaccines out, that there's something to it. I get it that the J&J one had some issues, very, very small issues with blood clots. But I mean, if they're out there, if it was big time worries, you wouldn't do it. The only reason why I would have taken the J&J one. I didn't have access to it. The only one I had access was to Pfizer and Moderna. I at one point owned the Pfizer stock. That essentially was my research. My research was I owned the Pfizer stock at one point, and the Moderna stock was plummeting, and so that was my research. But honestly, if I could have only gotten Moderna, I probably would have done that one too. So take that for what it's worth. But back to the whole issue of John Means. It's not a perfect game. It's a no-hitter, and that's fine. And they celebrate, and it's great. But it's not a perfect game if someone reaches base, and that's all it is. Put a cap on that. I won't even argue with someone that says, no, it should be. No, it's not. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. Did someone reach base? Then shut the hell up about it. LaRussa, Tony LaRussa. I'm going to play this clip for you for people who have not heard this. Basically, Tony LaRussa did not know the extra innings rule. I'm going to play this clip. It does it better if you have the video, but the video, we didn't have access to it for a lot of reasons, rights access to it. So I didn't want to play it and then us get nabbed. So here's the audio of LaRussa.
Well, I didn't know that. We all thought that Liam was going to be the runner, and that's what I wanted there, because if he wanted a double switch to keep him in the game, if you look at all, Abreu back to Moncada and so forth, that's not who you want to double switch out of the game. I wasn't aware that Abreu could have run. I thought it had to be the guy who made the last out or that spot in the order. We had, he can run. They're playing the infield in. we wanted to be aggressive, and they threw him out. We tried to be aggressive all day long. We just couldn't get in a situation. So that's the way you win games like that. Well, he wasn't going to run home. That's the reason. We're going to try to avoid any kind of contact at the plate. We're looking for a fly ball or something. The base was there to be stolen, and we didn't steal it.
If you knew that Abreu was available to be the runner there, would you have gone to him instead of Hendricks?
Yeah, if I'd known that, I didn't know that. I checked the rule. That was why the guys on the bench came out and questioned me about, that Liam was going to be the runner. And I said, yeah, I know. So we didn't know it. But I know because if you look at the other guys that you would double switch out of the game, those are not guys. Vaughn was the guy to come out. And I thought we had to get out of the thing. Kopech done a great job, but his commander at the end. So we got the out in the ninth. I'm guessing the rules better. Now I know.
Okay, so that was his response to it. If you saw the video, he looks a little out of it. I mean, when I mean out of it, I don't mean like he's messed up or anything. I mean tired. Okay, so that's not a good look for your manager. It's just like it's not a good look for our president when he's like nodding off and everything. It's not a good look for your manager. Realize LaRussa, I believe he's 76 years old. And so I've never been a fan of making someone retire because of age. So I'm not going in that direction. If you can still do the job, fair enough. And I'm not saying you can't do the job, but the Chicago fans were already skeptical when they hired him because the first thought process was, can he relate to the younger players? And then also in today's baseball, which LaRussa had been out of not quite a decade, but he had been out several years. He, although was innovative for his time, he still has a lot of old school stuff. One of the biggest things that LaRussa does is that he is very, very loyal to veterans. And I get it. He feels like a veteran should get playing time before a kid. And I get that. LaRussa had been a major league manager for decades. And so that's his thought process. And I get that. And it makes a hell of a lot of sense. A hell of a lot of sense. But at the same token, I'm also looking at the fact that they've got a lot of young players in Chicago and he's not putting them in the games. So he's already getting backlash because of that. They're basically saying, sit some of these old farts down and let some of the new kids play a little because you can't just have them as pinch runners and pinch hitters. Now, back to the topic at hand for yesterday's game. What happened was the second base rule in extra innings. LaRussa had to pull Kopech out of the game in the ninth. I was watching the game, but at the time I had the game on mute, so I did not realize that there was a controversy. I was working. I had the game on mute so I could see it, but I couldn't hear it. And I'm not a White Sox fanatic, so I don't recognize the players, some of their lesser players or lesser known players off the bat. I know what Abreu looks like, okay? But other than that, I know what a lot of the players look like. But their pitchers, I didn't even know what Liam Hendricks looked like until yesterday when this happened, because Hendricks played out in Oakland before, and really I couldn't have picked him out of a lineup until yesterday. So Kopech comes out of the game in the top of the ninth. Bottom of the ninth, and they have to put Hendricks in, who is their closer, and he gets them out of the mess to get the game to extra innings. In extra innings, the rule is the last guy up to bat, the last slot up to bat, that's the person who's sitting on second base. But a rule that was not, and this is the one thing I'll defend LaRussa on, this rule did not come into play last year. He wasn't coaching last year. I get it. But also, most of us fans had forgotten about this little rule that they had put in, a little sub rule. If you have to put the last person at bat or the last slot. So it was the number 5 hole is who was coming up, is where Hendricks, now the pitcher, was in the order. Number 6 was coming up to bat. So number 5 had to go stand second on second. But there is an asterisk type of rule. If it is a pitcher who is in that position, you do have the option to take the player before that, okay, and put him on second. So in other words, Abreu, who was the number 4 hitter, could have subbed in for the pitcher, and the pitcher would not come out of the game. They did that for player safety. Remember, last year, it was a universal DH. This rule never came into play, and so a lot of people are actually trying to learn this. The Braves were playing early in the season. I'm watching a game. We're going back and forth on Twitter, and I had forgotten about the rule. As much as I watch baseball, love it, know just about every damn rule there is to know, I had forgotten about this little caveat because it never came into play in 2020 when they first started this junk. Now, some people hate the extra inning rule. I actually don't mind it. I think it makes it exciting, and we get the game over with the regular season game when there's 162 of these things, okay? I really don't think you have to go out there and play an extra 6 innings to find out who wins that game. So anyways, yesterday, Hendricks stays on second. LaRussa didn't know the rule. Hendricks ends up running to third on a single because it was a bad base running play. I saw it when I saw it. I actually thought to myself, who the hell is out there running? That was a terrible read on the ball. It was pretty obvious that ball was going to drop, and most players would have scored if he would have went a little more than a third of the way or over halfway. If he would have about 75% of the way before the ball drops, he's probably going to score. If the guy makes the catch, it's going to be a diving catch, and he's going to have time to get back to second. Anyways, he doesn't. He goes like maybe a quarter of the way. The ball drops. He gets over to third. The White Sox don't score. The Reds score in the next inning. And this is why the controversy is there. And everyone's calling for his head, saying he's just old. He doesn't know the rules, yada, yada, yada. Replace him with this guy on the bench coach. Replace this bench coach. Here's my question to you. Why the hell didn't anyone else sitting there on the bench alert him? I'll tell you why. They didn't know the damn rule either. Because they're an American League team, first of all. So this doesn't come into play much. This is the first year we've actually had to deal with this because pitchers are being allowed to hit. He's coaching for an American League team in a National League park, and there probably just wasn't a lot of research done. I'm sure it was glossed over at some point in the spring, but your assistants, that's what they're there for. There should have been somebody. All the analytical dorks that you pay on your roster, on your salary, they're sitting up in the skybox watching the game. Any of them could have had a way to contact the guys down on the field, get a hold of Roos and say, hey, you can put Abreu on second. And he would have been like, crap. Actually, you're right. I forgot about that. So you can't just kill him. It's the entire Chicago White Sox organization, because you at no point is it just his role to know that. Does it fall on him? Sure. But what the heck were all the other people doing? And I guarantee you nobody in the dugout knew. There were probably a lot of guys on the red side that don't know, because this is a brand new rule. So anyways, put a pin into that. Between that and the no-hitter by John Means, it was a very exciting day in baseball. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into other sports. And one of the things I want to talk about is the college football playoffs. And also, NHL and NBA playoffs are right around the corner. We're going to get into that here on the other side of break. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio.
We got a tie. We need to fix it. We need a tiebreaker.
I agree. Ties are not acceptable in fantasy football. Fantasy football is about proving that you are better than your friends, not equally as good as your friends, okay? It's not communism. We're not coveting Billy Joel cassette tapes and wearing ill-fitting blue jeans.
Are you crying? Are you crying? There's no crying. There's no crying.
crying in baseball.
Hey, so we Kennedy, so we
All right, don't try to strike everybody out. Strikeouts are boring. Besides that, they're fashion. Throw some ground ball. It's more democratic.
Catch the Armchair Quarterbacks weekdays right here on CBS Sports Radio. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports here on the First Coast.
Just a bit outside.
Shut up, idiot. Moron! You bob for apples in the toilet, and you like it. You play ball like a girl. Come on. We'll take you on right here, right now. Come on.
Hi, friend. It's your home speaking, and I need some favors. Could you turn on some of the lights in the basement? I'm scared of the dark. Also, this one is easy. Could you bundle your home and car insurance with Geico so we could save money? Last thing, just a suggestion. Could you steam clean the carpets? I need a spa day.
Geico. For bundling made easy, go to geico.com today.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
What does it take to break you? What does it take to break your focus because you get frustrated about what happened on the last play? What does it take to make you give in because it's hot outside, or you're tired, or you don't feel like running to the ball, or giving effort, or finishing the play like you should? Because of how you feel, whether you're a little bit hurt? What does it take to break you? It's going to be difficult because you're getting yourself ready to play an entire season at a high level. So everybody here has got to have a lot of mental toughness to be able to sustain what we do at a high level.
Hi, this is Britney Spears.
Bitch, what up, this Jay-Z.
This is Jennifer Lopez. Armchair.
What's this I found under your bed? The only Engels you're going to read is Laura Ingalls Wilder.
If you think your child might be a red, here are some warning signs. They read complicated literature and have concern for their fellow man. They even like to share. Tell your kids if someone approaches them with pamphlets about recycling, an invitation to a labor rally, or showing any doubts about the fairness of our system, then they should find a teacher or a policeman immediately.
All right, just wash your hands before you use it. I don't get your germs.
Whoa, washing your hands is healthy? I did it because it felt good. I have so much to learn.
This is a good one. Recently, my son, my youngest son, he left for school and he forgot to make his bed. So I took it upon myself to make it for him.
Well, how old is he?
He is 12 years old.
Oh, okay.
Now, while I was in his room, I found a nudie magazine under his pillow.
My man.
Now, at first I was furious, Steve. My first thought was to take my pictures of my face and stick them in that nudie magazine so when he opened it up, but I put it back. Steve, I need to know, was that the right thing to do, or should I have gone with my original plan?
Hell no! You were gonna put your face on all the naked girls' bodies? Send your boy into therapy?
Armchair.
Welcome back here to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good morning, CBS Sports Radio. Brian, you're asking about the Jacksonville State Delaware game. I'm pulling up the videos right now. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I guess there was a big hit. When you put up, you talk about earlier this week, did you see Jacksonville State kid kill that Delaware quarterback? I thought you were talking about it was a murder. You're probably like the worst texter on the planet. I bet you freak your wife out about some of the things you text about. Because when you say kill that kid,
I was thinking there was like some kind of major scandal going on in college football, but I guess you're talking about a hard hit. I've got the highlights pulled up, but I do not see what you're talking about. Maybe it'll flash up here in a bit. I was trying to find like a condensed, see that particular play, but all I am finding is unless I've been that egregious, because all I'm seeing is like long highlights that popped up when I looked for it. So if you find a smaller, to the point highlight, send it to me and I'll take a look at it today. You freaked me out there for a second because I thought you knew what honestly we were talking about. I was like, what is he talking about? Someone you know what I was thinking? It was the last Boy Scout. Someone pulled out a pistol in the middle of the game or something. I was like, why has this not been all over the news cycle? Okay. All right. Anyways, all right, Brian, thank you. I'm telling you, you got my antenna. I was like, he killed somebody. What are we talking about here? Oh my God. I thought like there was some scandal that came out and some kids like admitting that anyways, I tend to forget that these lower division college football playoffs are going on. I'm not seeing advertisements for them, y'all. I'm not seeing them anywhere. And I understand that they are being televised, but whoever it is that's televising them is doing a terrible job of advertising about it. Because I've not seen not even one commercial about it. And I will check it out, but you got to remind me. You can't expect me to memorize the Jacksonville State and Delaware State are playing a football game at whatever time on Saturday. I have to freaking actually be reminded by it. So anyways, terrible job by whoever's ever broadcasting. I don't know if it's ESPN or is it FS1? Like who the hell's televising this? It must be some junk company that just does a terrible job of cross branding. Like what was the old one back in the 90s? I don't know if it's still around. Jefferson Pilot. Is it on Jefferson Pilot Sports? Do you have to have antennas to pick it up? Anyways, back to college football playoffs. I thought this would be a good day to be able to talk about this because there's more and more growing sentiment that they need to expand the playoffs, when we began this show in 2014, we were pounding the table about you need to start at some point, some kind of playoff system. And at that time, I still had the defeatist attitude because for my entire life, I have been watching college football, y'all. I'm going to date myself for a second, but the very first big college football game that I remember was Florida State in the 1980 Orange Bowl against Oklahoma. Okay. So over 40 years, I've been watching college football. Now, I was a little kid, but that game did stick out to me. It was a big deal because my parents went down to it. Florida State was a Cinderella story to even be in that game. It was a huge deal. The game was being played in Florida too, so that helped with the excitement and the electricity about it. And they were playing mighty Oklahoma. So watching football that long, even into 2014, I just thought we were never going to get a playoff system until all these old farts just passed on. Because I could not believe when ESPN showed up in the 80s and 90s, I could not believe that we actually got to 2000 without a playoff. I remember being a young man going, look, there's no way they're going to keep going on without this junk. And I guess in some ways, social media, for all its evils, it has actually brought us to college football playoffs because the outcry of the fans that was seen constantly on Twitter and of course on like YouTube channels and Facebook, you don't want to leave them out either. But I think more of Twitter, because Twitter's where everyone seems to get on their soapbox. If I ever started a rival company to Twitter, I would call it Soapbox. I never would have the money for that, so I'll never worry about someone stealing that idea because I don't have the money or the know-how to start a company to rival Twitter. But I would call it Soapbox because that's what they do. Everyone gets up on their soapbox and they say what the hell they want to say, and then they jump off, and people get mad or people applaud it, whatever. But when Twitter really started getting in the mainframe around 2010 is when you started feeling the pressure of it. So my point is this: when they announced it was a 14 playoff, even then I was disappointed. I was like, good God, 4? We've got 5 major conferences. How the hell did you come up with that number? Any idiot would tell you need at least 5. And just to make it make sense, you give me a 6th one so that you would have 2 buys. If you did it with 5, you're talking about having 3 buys. Basically, number 4 and number 5 would play each other to start the 4-game playoff. So it makes no sense to do that. And then I see this 12-team playoff about a week or 2 ago that was catching some steam. And all I could think of is, how the hell did we get from 4 to 12 when it took us forever to get from 0 to 4? It took us well over 100 years, right? And I don't think realistically we were going to have a college football playoff pre-1980, okay? I think by the 70s and 80s, people started realizing you probably need a playoff. By the 90s, we were beating the table. Why the hell don't we have a playoff? And by the 2000s, we were like, enough of this. We need a damn playoff. The BCS was the closest thing that they came up with that ran. It was about 14 years, I think it was. I know Florida State has the they're the only ones that were in the first and final BCS game. So that bookends it. I know it was the 98 season, and what was that, the 2013 season. So 15, 16 years. But why the hell did well, now we're going from 4 to 12. I'm sorry, 12 is too many. This is not baseball, and this is not basketball. You can't just play games that quickly. You add an extra round in baseball or basketball, you're talking about a few extra days. Football, it's an extra week every time you add a round. 12 is too damn many, and it's not even close. So I'm going to state once again that I believe we need 7. 7 is the best number in my book because it will motivate the number 1 seed to be the number 1 seed and stay the number 1 seed because they get the bye. And if you have that on your radar, that is an awesome reason to actually want to win your conference championships games. I've said all along, give me the 5 champions, automatic champions out of the Pac-12, Big 12, Big 10, SEC, and ACC. Okay? Give me those 5. But I want the automatic bid, and I want it in a conference championship game. So I want eyeballs on it because that's essentially a playoff game. Okay? So there's no need for 12 when that is essentially a playoff game because that right there puts 10 teams into a playoff already. Okay? You don't need 12 teams outside of that. Okay? So those 5 teams get in no matter what. That gives you 2 at-larges. And the way I would do that is I would have 1 true at-large, and then the second at-large would be from the group of 5 teams if they were ranked in the top 10. And I would take the AP and the coaches poll and combine them. Maybe you put a computer poll, so maybe it's almost like a BCS to get them in, because you can't have that many of a playoff unless you do something a little out of the ordinary and you take some of these group of 5 conferences and you do some kind of a playoff for them to get into that. That would be fun as well. You would probably need a couple of weekends, but that's not terrible. You take the 4 best conferences of the group of 5 for that year, the 4 best teams for that year. It could rotate. So I don't want to pigeonhole where there's a team or a conference that never has a shot in hell of getting in this, right? You let them play each other out. And then that way, maybe they start their seasonal earlier than the SEC and ACC and everyone else. That's not a bad thing either. Give me a week or two before the SEC and ACC start, and we get to see some of the MAC and some of the, the Big West and all the other conferences that nobody really knows the names to, the AAC, right? Give me that for a couple of weeks. Maybe you work in a couple extra buys, you stretch it out, whatever. That would be a fun thing. No one really gives that much of a crap about preseason football. It sucks, okay? So if you're a football fan and you're looking for something in August, mid-August, there you go. You get it going. And you might even start paying attention as a fan because you would be like, look at this. Look what we've got. Look, this team looks pretty good, man. They might be able to make it, et cetera, et cetera. If you get to the end of the year and no one's ranked high enough to be in there, and maybe top 10's too high, but you give me the conference, the smaller conferences, find some way to play them in and give them a slot. And then you have a true, what I would call a true at-large team. And that would be the best team of the remaining 5 conferences that did not win their conference championship. That's going to motivate the hell out of you to win your conference championship, because that is going to be a long argument most years. When you have, once you get the Power 5 team champions in, you always have a team in the SEC that you say, man, this team could be in there. I don't know why. Usually it would be the one that was playing for the conference title. But what if they get blown out, but there's someone else who didn't make the conference championship? They would have an argument, and so on and so forth. And we could talk into the streets till the cows come home about that. But what I'm saying is that would put a lot of intrigue. 12 teams is too damn many. We talked about it before, but if you put 12 teams in, the first thing that you're going to have is you're going to have that first play-in round, which means the top 4 get a bye. But let's say you actually played in that round and you've already played 12 games on your regular season schedule. And let's say you were in the conference championship. That's a 13th game. And then you play the first round of 12 to get to 8. And then you get down from 8 to 4, and then 4 to 2, and 2 to 1. That's 4 more games. That's 17 damn games to win a national championship. That is currently what the NFL schedule is this year. 17 games. I get it. If you're going to win a Super Bowl, you actually play 20 normally. But you get my drift. That's too many for a college football season. It's going to be too many injuries. You're going to wear these kids out. There's no reason to have to play 17 college football games, although we love it. If you want to see that much of one team, go buy yourself an Xbox or PlayStation and just play the hell out of a season. Okay. These are human beings. These are kids. These are not grown men. These are kids. Your brain is not fully developed till what they say, age 27. Okay. So for all intents and purposes, these are still kids. So there's no reason to have them playing for that long. My God, the way they want to set it up, it might outlast the Super Bowl. So I don't know where they get this 12. It's stupid. The most I would agree with is 8. The very most I would agree with is 8. To me, putting 12 in is the equivalent of taking the college basketball playoffs and say, 64, it just isn't enough, so we went to 68. You know what? The hell with it. Let's go to 128. If you're that lowly ranked, you don't deserve to be in the championship. Same thing with football. Football is not like college basketball. Not everybody gets to get in. College basketball, really, the college basketball bids that are given every year, they're the equivalent of a participation trophy, because there are teams in there every year, and you know it. There's usually a good 10 teams in that college basketball tournament that did not deserve to be in a national championship type game. Or a national championship type playoff system. Now we get some really great surprises sometimes. UCLA comes to mind this year, where they went into the play-in game and they went all the way to the Final Four, but realize also they were playing on an 11 seed, so they were 11-12. It's not the 11 seeds that I'm always like, oh, God, we got to put all of them in there. It's the freaking 16 seeds, the 16 versus 16 seeds. You're like, you needed both of these bozos in here? Really? No one cares about the game, and whoever wins is going to get their skull crushed in the second round. It's just, it's all junk. And I get it. It brings in some television money. But is anyone actually watching that? Because I don't watch those games. The 16 versus 16 games, I'll have it on as a second. Everybody knows I have a ridiculous amount of monitors in my house, right? Constantly watching sports, keeping up with it. That is like the last thing that I'm paying attention to. It's like sitting over in the corner, and I'm like, if it gets close, I'll pay attention to it. And it's late March, so there's no other real sport that is. Let me put it this way, if they waited till the middle of baseball season to do it, I don't even know if I would have it on a monitor on my house at all. I would do it for the 11 seeds, but I wouldn't do it for the little seeds. I would much rather watch, 3-4 baseball games going at a time than have this random 16 seed matchup. I mean, it's just the most boring crap ever. But anyways, that's my take on it. I'm sticking firm with 7, but I'll concede 8. But you don't need more than 8. 8 is enough. And that could actually be their theme song. Wasn't there a television show with what's his last name? Dick Cavett? Dick something. 8 is enough. I remember that as a kid. It was a set 1970s sitcom. I was never a fan of it, but then again, I was super young when that thing came out. I actually think I was probably watching it in syndication. I don't know if I ever watched it live. I feel like that thing was always coming on mid-afternoon. Anyways, moving on from that, the NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs. Holy crap, it's finally here. They are taking way too long to get to this, by the way. If they're not going to move it all the way back to later in the year, like I think hockey should, because let's be honest, as much as people are mad at the NBA, it's still getting better ratings than hockey in the United States. So I think hockey really should think about pushing their season back and getting to the championship much quicker. I mean, take them longer to get to the championship, getting into late summer. I mean, I think, look, it's saying right now that hockey is going to be playing on, they start theirs on May 11th, which is next Tuesday, and it finishes on July 9th. NBA, for once, is not going to have their finals going up against each other, but they come in May 22nd and they finish on July 22nd. So they are, a good 13 days split apart. That means that there's a good chance that we have the hockey champion before we get the NBA finals going. I think next year, if hockey, because I don't think the NBA is going to move. They don't see the opportunity that's out there. So hockey should do the move. Hockey should start on January 1st and run their sport until early to mid-August. It's not like they're playing it outdoors. There's no reason why you can't play hockey indoors. And it would avoid all of your games at the very beginning being ignored because you're going up against the NHL. And then let the NBA have June in most years. Whatever. And as the NBA playoffs are coming to an end, start your hockey playoffs. Typically, the NBA playoffs end somewhere around June 22nd, June 26th, very late June. I'm saying start your hockey playoffs, the beginning rounds, the very early rounds, start them like right around June 1st-ish. And then you're done a little around August 1st-ish. It gives you the majority of your playoffs, not head-to-head with the NBA, or maybe even June 15th to August 15th. That's still a good solid 3 weeks before the NFL starts. The only way the NHL is ever going to grow exponentially in the United States is one way. Don't go up against what has been taking the eyeballs away from it all these years. You don't want to go a lot earlier. If you go a lot earlier, then your regular season is going to get engulfed by the National Football League and college football. A lot of your hockey fans are football fans. Don't make them choose, because the ones in the United States are going to choose football 9 times out of 10. Hell, that's low. 99 times out of 100. Most of your NFL fans, college football fans, enjoy hockey, but would take a football game over a hockey game any day of the week, unless you're talking about regular season football compared to the Stanley Cup. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about regular season college and pro football going up against regular season hockey. It doesn't work. Nobody watches the NBA either, but they seem to be hard pressed into staying where they're at. So let them go ahead and start in October and November or whatever. First 3 months, nobody cares. I don't routinely, I don't pay, even when the NHL had not been ticking me off. Not the NHL, I'm sorry, the NBA. I still did not get deep into the NBA until well after the Super Bowl. Because for me to even start paying attention to it on a nightly basis and start following it, there's no sense of urgency because everyone makes the playoffs. So you can kick that aside. When the Super Bowl ends, you're in the middle of February and you go into March Madness shortly after that. That has all my attention. And then opening day in baseball. And that fever dies, after a few days. It's not until when the NBA playoffs normally start, normally in most years, they're usually starting right in the middle of the draft. They've done that a few times. So that's asinine. In fact, when we went to Nashville to cover the NFL draft in 2019, I specifically remember that Saturday night was the beginning of the NHL playoffs, and it was the third round of the NFL draft. And we were talking about it then. We're like, why the hell did they not start this the next day? Anyways, NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs are right around the corner. Tuesday is NHL playoffs. Looking forward to that, unless it gets pushed back. There's some weird stuff that ESPN has up on the schedules, and I don't understand it, that has random one-team games. And I don't know if they're already filling in the playoffs or if these are games that may have to be played because of COVID. So that part is confusing. I can't find anything to explain it to me. And honestly, I'm not going to worry about it too much. I get more of a kick out of watching Matheny of the Royals getting freaking launched out of a game than I do trying to figure out, make your sport more accessible. That would be another thing the NBA and NHL need to do. Okay. So we got to start wrapping this up because we're going to go get my wife's second shot in, and we will be done with that. So let's go ahead and turn back time. Appreciate y'all spending the morning with me. Tomorrow, Justin will be with us and Tony Aguilini. We will start a half hour earlier on our YouTube channel. So if you want to watch Tony's segment, it will be on the YouTube channel. The regular morning show, 8:30 to 9:30 Eastern, will be the same. We'll start a second feed. It's a long story, but it's just the way they grab the feed on CBS Radio. So anyways, here we go. Ready? It's time to turn back time here on the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show. Oh, man, I've got way too many of these buttons on this thing. Here we go. Oh, also, I want to announce starting a week from Saturday, we are starting a Chicago baseball podcast, or vodcast, I guess, because it'll be on YouTube. So Joey, big Cubs fans, he's got a White Sox fan coming with him, and we're going to talk all things Chicago baseball, and I'm sure we'll get into other things, but that'll be on Saturday mornings. I believe we got it earmarked for 11 a.m. Eastern. So there you go with that. And Sean and Steven's show should be starting that same day too, I believe. And that will happen an hour before. I'll get all the details to you next week. On this date in 1947, a small office high up behind home plate at Ebbets Field, National League president Ford Frick meets with 7 Cardinal players individually. Now remember, Ebbets Field was the home to the Brooklyn Dodgers at the time. This is 1947. This is the year that Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. He revealed that he is aware of their secret plan to strike as a protest to Jackie Robinson playing for the Dodgers. Usually Ford Frick was always non-confrontational, but he told each and every one of those players that if they did strike, and the players' names were never revealed, they would encounter very quick retribution from his office that would include long-term suspensions from baseball. And the rumor had it at the time that he was talking about even throwing them out of the game. So the story of Jackie Robinson, when you always hear the story, you never hear the story of Ford Frick and his part that he played. So you got to give kudos to that. Also, this date, 1954, Roger Bannister becomes the first person to run a sub 4-minute mile. And that was such a big deal in 1954 that I was still hearing about that in 1984, 1994. Everyone always talked about the great Roger Bannister. For years, like that was the benchmark. Now no one pays attention to the mile. They're like, whatever, dude. I'm on my Peloton. All right, let's go ahead and hit birthdays.
It's your birthday.
All right, speaking of hockey, 49 years young, Martin Brodeur, NHL goalie. I've always been an NBA fan when it comes to NHL. What I mean by that is I've got my favorite team in the Preds, but typically I like teams going into the playoffs that I enjoy watching. And so I follow them, or I follow certain players that I like, which is what a lot of people do in the NBA. I mean, yeah, a lot of people in the NBA, they're LeBron fans or LeBron haters. They're not necessarily a Laker fan or a Cleveland fan, etc. Well, that's the way I am with hockey. I grew into being a Preds fan. I've always been an Islanders fan since I was a little kid. So those are my 2 essential teams. But I like to see the Florida teams, the Panthers and the Lightning, do well. And when we get in the playoffs, I pretty much go, I like this team better than that team. That's who I'm pulling for. Cannot wait for the NHL playoffs. All right, my walk-off for the day, because I got to get out of here before I get in trouble with the wife. We got to head up there. This is a pretty darn good baseball day today. You've got a lot of decent pitching matchups, and I'll circle one for you real quick. Houston, New York, 105 Eastern. I'm pretty sure that's on national television. I want to say MLB Network. Lance McCullers against Garrett Cole. If there's a game you're going to watch today, watch that game. Garrett Cole was on that cheating Astros team. It'll be interesting to see if there's any fun signs in the crowd. It's being played in the Bronx. Are they gonna boo the hell out of these Astros again, or are they gonna boo the hell out of their starter? So I've got my eye on that. If you're looking for a good stream, I didn't get a chance to get into DFS. A guy that I really like today, Nathan Eovaldi. He's at home. He's pitching well. 3.63 ERA. He's against the Detroit Tigers. Come on, baby. Pick up some Eovaldi in your DFS. I got to go. Have a great day. And we will see you tomorrow on Football Friday. We all starting in a half hour early on Fridays for Tony Gagliani's show. Okay.
Goodbye, sweetheart. It's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live.
We're here weekdays. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Gonna get